everybody, welcome back to the show. It is always a pleasure to see our next guest.
Absolutely. Chef Paul Yellen joining us, the rum chef. And we're talking, of course, delicious food. And we always ask him where he's been lately. And it was like a geography lesson. South Beach,
Been having some fun?
A little bit.
A little bit of fun?
A little bit.
Now, we are cooking with rum today, and this is Eclipse Silver. Now, in the world of rum, what does that mean? Is it the same as tequilas and stuff?
Well, this is a white rum, but it's a premium white rum. Normally, white rum is just a distilled liquor, and straight away, it's bottled. So it's 15 minutes old. But this is actually a triple distilled and aged white rum.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a little bit smoother, it's a little bit classier.
And of course,
check it out.
just like Fiona, smoother and classier. So what are we making today? It smells incredible.
We're going to make
already.
drunken shrimp in a coconut rum curry sauce.
Yeah.
Delicious.
That sounds like
All
Friday
right,
to me.
where do we begin?
We're at the beginning.
At the beginning,
At the
with
beginning.
a red hot pan.
So you can usually use, I would say a recipe is just something to follow.
Right.
You know, it's not a guide. It's just a guide. You don't have to do it. So
It's the rough
garlic,
outline.
always a little garlic, some onion.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweat that off. Butter, olive oil, it's your choice. But everything tastes better with butter.
It really does. And you've added, is this ginger?
Ginger, garlic ginger, some sweet pepper,
Yeah.
curry powder. Now, what happens with curry powder is when you heat it, it releases the oil. And you wouldn't think that a dry powder has oils, but it does.
It does.
Really?
And
Interesting.
that's how you really release the flavor in curry.
It smells so good.
Yeah, I had no idea.
From there, yeah.
Well, and your influences, obviously, I mean, you know, where you grew up and where you've traveled and everything else. I mean, it's a real crossroads of all these different food styles and
It
cultures
is.
coming into.
It is. And you're going to get a little bit of a fire.
Oh, just a little.
Just a little.
eyebrows!
But it burns off. So it's great that way.
So when you're cooking, it really does burn off the alcohol.
It does.
Yeah.
And so that just leaves you the flavor profile that you're looking at
Correct.
from the.
A little
from
bit
the rum.
woody. So
Nice.
pineapple juice?
Very
Hopefully
nice.
that's not going to light on fire too.
No,
'cause then
this is
we're-
actually going to put out the flames,
theoretically.
theoretically. It stops the burn.
We don't worry because we've got rum.
How many different rums are there? Is that a stupid question?
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds, literally hundreds. But since rum was invented in Barbados, there's only one.
There is only one.
Mount Gay rum is the oldest rum in the world.
I didn't know it was the oldest. That's
It's
really
the oldest
interesting.
continuously operating rum company, so it's older than America. It's over
Really?
320 years old.
Really?
Unbelievable.
1703.
And are there really different flavors when it does come to rums?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
And can you sip them like tequila, or do you always mix them with
once you
things?
get to 10-year-old, 10, 12, 15-year-old rums, they're like whiskeys. They're like
Yeah.
scotch. And it's actually 1703, which we just released last year,
Yeah.
is a blend of 30-year-old rums.
Wow.
So-
what does that do? Does that just everything sort of softens out?
It's aged. Most of them are blends. There's
Yeah.
a copper still, which is the main rum and flavor profile, and then they use continuous still, so they blend them. Then they blend ages. The difference between Scotch and rum is that when you see a 25-year-old Scotch,
Yeah.
it's not really 25 years. It hasn't been sitting there for 25
the
years.
Scotsmen are liars.
So it is a little bit deceptive.
Right.
Damn them.
But rum, due to the laws, they're not allowed to do that. It has to be that age.
This has to
Really?
sit
Yes.
down for, what is this, 10 years?
Well,
Is
no,
it-
this one isn't. This one, the silver, so this is a 3-year-old.
Oh, okay, nice.
But the 10, 15, 20-year-old rums,
Is truly
you
that
don't
aged.
dare mix that with
You
Coca-Cola or...
Okay.
If you go to Barbados and you ask for a 30-year-old rum with Diet Coke, you will be asked to leave the bar.
There you go.
You will be asked to leave Barbados.
Now we've added our rum. You obviously got a little bit of flame on there. We added
Yes.
the pineapple juice, and it's heated up again. Now where are we
Coconut
going?
milk.
I love coconut curry.
A little coconut milk.
My favorite.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do to this as this is heating up, I'm just going to add some tomato and the shrimp.
Nice.
And you
really
don't-
simple too.
It's very simple, like 6 ingredients.
Nice.
And what you don't want to do is really overcook the shrimp. You know, it's one
Get
of
them
those
lightly
things.
cooked. Now we're obviously using shrimp today, but what are some of your other favorites to pair with rum when you're cooking?
Oh my goodness, there's no limit.
You
There's
put it
no
in
limit.
everything, bacon
in
and rum.
everything.
Can you put
I'm
bacon
the rum
and-
chef. Of
Can
course.
you put bacon and rum
Of
together?
course.
What do you pair with?
Of course.
How do you do that? That sounds awesome. I'm trying to make you happy.
I know. I'm like, you just completed this.
I can also say that if it sounds strange to you, then you don't necessarily have to cook with it, but you can pair with it.
Right.
So you can eat a lovely steak with a great
Yeah.
rum, or dessert.
Well, and obviously,
Dessert, yeah.
part of your job is, that idea of rum and cooking with it, but part of it is really, talking about the culture and the beautiful area in Barbados and just,
Well, one of the things I'm here to do is promote the Barbados food and wine and rum.
And rum. Look at the smile that brought to your
Festival.
face.
Yes, we took it a step further to rum. And actually, here at Eat Vancouver this week, we're doing a big special. One of the local travel agents, Carson Vagan Lee,
Yeah.
is there giving away a trip to Barbados with tickets to the event.
So you get to
kidding.
have the
So-
right rum in the right place with
correct.
the right
Can I ask
food.
how much fun that event is? The Barbados
It
Food
is a
and
lot
Wine
of fun.
and Rum Festival.
It's a lot of fun.
And is
it's
it
a
all
great
just?
location.
I mean, everything together and sort
And there
of
are some
blending
big
all
name chefs. If you go to the website, you can see it. Tom Colicchio, Marcus Samuelson, Ming Tsai,
Yeah.
Nice.
me.
You.
Some of the top chefs in the world. That's amazing.
Correct.
Now, if you want to check out Eat Vancouver, we're going to tell you that it's happening over the weekend, and you can win a pair of tickets if you want to email us at urbanrush@shaw.ca.
Here's the pair of tickets, and it comes with something else as well. I don't know if we should be doing this during a rum segment.
I know, that seems sacrilege.
But Mott's Clamato, there you go. A Caesar starter kit. You may need this Sunday morning after the
You
sporting
do,
weekend.
but we have
just
tickets to Eat Vancouver. You can email us at urbanrush@shaw.ca. Now let's plate this bad boy up
just
here.
put this under my
Are we almost done?
desk.
We've just got, is this just regular rice? What kind of rice have we got?
Basmati rice.
Basmati.
Yeah, man. The
Look at
base. That's all it is.
I
the
am so
base.
hungry. This is like torture. So once again, if you want to go to Eat Vancouver, you can check it out. It is happening all weekend long. Eat Vancouver's website is on the screen for you right now. We are going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to have, yes, you can also get the fabulous cookbook.
Yep.
Your guide. It's just a guide
Just a guide.
to cooking
Rough
with rum.
outline.
We're going to return with
Thanks,
Katie
pal.
Rocks. I want to eat this.
Giver.
I'm going to have a bite.
So Paul is known as the Rum Chef, and the reason he's known for the Rum Chef is because Mount Gay Rum asked him for 3 recipes that would pair well with rum. He nailed this job so well that he is now the corporate chef for Mount Gay Rum. And in that job, he gets to travel the world and promote the culture, cuisine, and rums of Barbados. He is the author of the popular rum cookbook, Infusion. This cookbook can be purchased right outside after this seminar. Paul will sign it, and
And a free shot of rum.
I knew that was coming, but it sounds so much better when he says it. Paul has catered events for President Obama, Barbados Independence Day, and the 40th anniversary of landing on the moon. These are big, big things. And he has been featured in
Thank you.
the New York Times, the London Times, Bon Appetit, and many others. So without further ado, Chef Paul Yellen.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out. I know it's been a very hectic weekend for a lot of us. Anybody was at Ambrosia last night? Yeah? So I know you're feeling it, right? It was a little hard to get up this morning. But like true professionals, we persevere. So basically, as Ray was saying, Barbados and the Caribbean itself, I don't think enough people show it's not the interest. They really just don't have the idea of what is available in the Caribbean, in Barbados. It's not just jerk chicken and rice and peas. I mean, I know people like it, it's a staple, but there's so many cultures, so many different types of people. People who live here, who grew up here, who emigrate here. And the cultures are all mixed, and everybody brings their own style, their own cuisine. If you travel to Jamaica or Trinidad, you will see just amazing cultures, people who are half Chinese, half Indian, beautiful people and beautiful food. And I don't think that there's enough emphasis on how to cook properly, and how to really marry these foods. And of course, now that we're in an age, through festivals like this, that pairing with American Express and Food and Wine, we're able to export ourselves and promote to the whole world. And Rihanna, who is huge, is helping do that. So now that we have the focus of the world on us, it's time to really step up the game, just a bit. And there's nothing wrong with street food. There's nothing wrong with oystins. It's great fun. Cuz's cutters, the fish cutters. Thank you, that way. Cuz's fish cutters, fabulous food. And I love street food. Trust me, after I cook for 200 people, I want to go home and eat cornflakes. I don't want to cook. All right, so I love tasting things, but at the same time, we don't have to cook the same way. So what I'm going to show you today is just a very simple recipe using local ingredients. The whole weekend we really tried to push local ingredients. You know, not too many imported things at all, if possible. So everything we had was either came out of the ocean or the land from here. Today I'm going to do, you know what confit is? Anybody have confit duck, confit chicken? It's something that's cooked in its own liquid or its own fat. So I'm going to do a piece of snapper today. And I'm going to confit it, poach it in coconut oil. All right, so this helps with the way people prepare foods, frying all the time. All right, everybody likes something fried. It's delicious, it's crispy, but it's not healthy, and we know that. And there's a lot of incidents in the Caribbean recently, last couple of years. A lot of diabetes, a lot of health issues, a lot of heart trouble. We have such fabulous food here. People should not be unhealthy. You know, it also comes into the way that the world is changing. We sit at desks now. We don't work anymore. We don't work in fields. We don't farm. Everybody used to have a little kitchen garden behind their house. Everybody's grandmother would just go outside and pick a herb and come back inside. Keep chickens. You know, you have your own chicken for Sunday. And I understand the world has changed. It's not like that anymore. You know, there's probably children growing up now who have never, they don't realize that the cluck cluck chicken is what's in the package. They think food only comes in plastic, and they just don't know anymore. And that's a shame. It really is, because we have beautiful food here, and I wish people would not be ashamed of working at it, you know, and working for good food, because the food that comes here, I understand it's a huge industry, but we just don't know where it comes from. You know, you don't. And if you think you do, you're joking. We don't know what they spray on it. We don't know what they wash it with. And we don't know what they use to preserve it, so it stays in the container for a week while it's shipped here. And that's sad, but there's no reason for it. If ever you've taken an island tour, and you drive around the East Coast, or you see fruit growing from the trees, or the men on the side of the roads with coconuts, right? I love coconut water. Like we can't go a day, yeah, we buy it. By the way, rum and coconut water. But yes, anyone who would starve in the Caribbean has got to be insane. You could literally walk and pick fruit off the trees. There's no reason to starve or eat badly. You know, there's fast food. There's no reason for it. There really isn't. At any rate, I'm assuming that most people here have some basic concept of cooking, right? So I mean, other than 5 minutes on, reheating, defrost. So the basic elements of poaching is usually in liquid. And what we're going to do today, instead of a vacuum seal, I'm going to use a Ziploc bag. Very simple. Now, recipes are guidelines. You don't have to follow them exact. You can pimp them. Is pimp an appropriate word? Okay. You can customize them. You can customize them to your own. If you don't like cilantro, use thyme. If you don't like bay leaf. So it's you know, when you see a recipe, you can always substitute something else. That's the beauty of it. Baking, you know, cooking is an art, but baking is a science. You don't mess with the baking recipes. If it says a pinch of this or an ounce, that's what it is. Because if you try to mess with that, it will come out awfully wrong. So snapper, good Caribbean snapper. Skin on, skin off. It's up to you. Love the skin. Myself, there's nothing wrong as long as you take off the scales. Those aren't any fun. So I'm going to use a nice pink piece. And let's see, a little salt and pepper, but not too much. You don't want to over-season your food because we're also going to use a rum citrus butter to go with it. And let's see, a little bit of onions, some thyme, some fresh thyme, piece of garlic. I would actually like to take this quick second to thank my friend and chef, Paul Sandiford, who was invaluable to me this weekend, as he always is. And it's the same thing, it's coconut oil. This one is from Belize, but you can get it in the States. You can get it at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or an organic food store. I think even GNC, the supplement store, the health food store, It's usually extra virgin, cold pressed coconut oil, and it literally is just like the first pressing of it. It's very much like olive oil. The flavors are incredible. You can cook rice with it. You can use it in your hair. No, really, it's great for your hair, for your complexion. And we're just gonna pour in a good amount because we want flavor. So all of the vegetarians, the Rastafarians in the Caribbean, they cook with coconut oil. They use multi-purpose. They use the oil to cook with, and then they grate the coconut itself, squeeze that and use the coconut milk. Now when you're poaching, you really want to make sure you have a tight seal on this, because you don't want any water in there. And a nice pot of boiling water. It doesn't, as long as it comes to the boil. Which one are we? This one. As long as it comes to the boil and you see it smoking, and it doesn't need to be rolling boil because you'll just overcook it. And you just place it in. 5-8 minutes, really not much longer. Another problem that I find in the Caribbean, and it's due to culture, it's just due to the way people do things, is they overcook fish. Way overcook it. It's not pork. Yeah, it's fresh. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to cook it for 25 minutes in hot oil. So what should we make with it? I think a red rice. We'll do a little bit of a southern red rice. This one. Great. And again, you can use what you like to start. If you don't like things, don't add them. Or for this, let me get this out of the way. I'm going to start with some garlic. Now I'm going to try to feed everyone and everyone get a taste. I'm going to try. I'm going to have to pull a little religious trick for this one. So yes, garlic, onions, again, thyme. Bacon, if you like bacon. You don't have to add it in. Just for flavor. You don't need much. In the Caribbean, people who like bacon, they say they're pork mouth. Right? They love a piece of pork. The chicken, fish, and pork are the big staples of Barbados. I mean, I'm not going to say the rest of the Caribbean. Really not big beef eaters, and I guess that comes from the accessibility of it. And when it does come here and it's imported, it's actually quite expensive to get a decent cut of meat. And then concasse tomato, chopped tomato. You can use canned if you'd like. Fresh is always better, of course. Some tomato paste. Use a spoon. And I have here a little bit of tomato stock or tomato juice, can of V8. If you'd really like to do it special, you can take some tomatoes and put it in a blender and make your own tomato juice. Obviously, the more people that you're cooking for, the recipe would expand. Scotch bonnet peppers, you know, we love them here. If you don't know how to use them, you have to be very careful with them. The skin itself is hot, the seed is hotter, so you will really want to be careful of that. If you're not well versed in Scotch bonnet peppers, wear gloves and cut it with a knife and fork. And after, do not touch your face. Do not go to the bathroom. I'm just saying. All right, and since we have time constraints, and I don't really have to explain how rice is done, everybody understands that. I've made some rice. So we're going to do a little cheat. Stop blowing. Did everyone have a good time at Ambrosia last night? It was a lot of fun, right? A little warm. The event is getting better each year. Each year we do it, it gets just a touch better, and which is great. I think, if I can say this, that I thought the local chefs did an amazing job, even compared to. And some of them are my dear friends, so I'm extra proud to say that. What's actually very cool about poaching is that you can take a look at the bag and see, see how it's coming along. And you can see it's changing color already. It went from pink to white. And you usually test fish for doneness by the firmness of it. And give it a little touch and see when it's finished. So we have the rice going there. You can, yes. This was just a recipe. It's just really for color. Because when you poach fish or chicken or anything like that, it's usually very pale. You can add curry to it. Absolutely, you can add curry or paprika. Again, these are just the basics. You can now take this dish or this recipe or this idea and just run with it. Try different things. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Now, again, you can put coconut oil, you put a little rum in it. I'm not going to overdo it with the rum for everyone. You understand the concept. I would love, if I could have, I do have one myself, but it would be rude for me to drink a rum and coconut water and not have one for all of you. So theoretically, we should all have a cocktail. Because rum is one of those drinks that even though you're cooking with it, you should have one with you. So I was actually speaking to a good friend of mine. He's a musician, lead singer in a band who performed at the Beach House on Sunday. Philip, there, right there. And we're actually going to work on a project to make a CD, some music to drink rum to. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. Because even when you go back home and you're in the snow and you have your little rum punch, it'd be nice to put on something. You make a recipe, a little spice, little rum drink, and some music. You'd be like, yes, Barbados. Next year, we're working on it. We're already, if it wasn't Sunday, we would be somewhere talking to someone else right now, tomorrow. But yes, if someone doesn't go ahead and jumpstart the idea, like none of you start tweeting right now. And you know what? Little rum. So, yes, sorry, I got off track. The Scotch bonnet pepper. You can use a Scotch bonnet. Usually we use it to make spices, make our own seasoning. And if you do use it, you have to chop it very fine, or you can just cheat, and you can buy pepper sauce. If you go to the duty-free stores, or even the local markets before you leave and buy some pepper sauce. I do have a few bottles that I'll give away. And this is Bird's Nest Bajan Hot, which they make a great line, I think. There's several different brands, but I happen to like this one. He's also a good friend of mine. He has a sauce which is one of the hottest ones I've ever had in my life, and it's called Wallace. People don't believe me, like, what do you call it? And they're like, nah. And there's nothing else to say when you eat this. It will burn you twice. I think the difference between Barbadian hot sauce, well, one of the differences is we use a mustard base to ours. So there's this acidic flavor. They actually have flavor. They're not just hot for hot's sake. And they're not a buffalo sauce. They're not like a Tabasco, which is very watery. These have bits of the ingredients in it. And I mean, they're incredible. I think most Bajans will use pepper sauce on just about everything, including cornflakes. All right, so while that's going, I think we're going to try our rum citrus butter. And why don't we start with a touch of this? When I first started cooking at Sandy Lane, when I actually realized what I was doing, the Austrian chef, Hans, we had this great conversation once, and he said, Mr. Yellen, what are the 3 things that make food taste good? Does anybody know? Salt, yeah. Sugar, butter. And that's exactly what it was. He said butter, butter, butter. And he was right. Unfortunately, in the 80s, well, they probably knew it. Like they knew cigarettes were bad for you. But, you know, the emphasis on cooking with butter just wasn't as much. You know, people didn't pay the attention to it. So now that we're much more health conscious, you know, which is another reason why I like to be able to do this and reach a broader spectrum of people, is to show that we can cook with flavor and without necessarily killing ourselves early. Wow, where were you last night? And of course it's going to affect the flame. So you can use orange juice if you like. What I'm going to do is use a little lemon zest. This is zester. Anybody, you can get it in stores, all different sizes, like a mini grater. Some orange. Actually, why don't I use the juice? Sorry, I couldn't find a knife. And then there was rum. You have to be very careful with this if you're cooking with open flame, because it should usually light. There you go. Set the kitchen on fire. Now, people were concerned about cooking with rum. It evaporates. With heat, it evaporates. You will have flavor there. There will be a little bit of rum there. Oh, I see a seed. Those are not tasty. So if you're pregnant or you have children, you know, yes, you want to be a little bit careful, but the rum will evaporate. If you have an electric stove and you're cooking, it won't light like that. You'll have to light it. It will still evaporate without setting it on fire, but I'm just speeding up the process, and it looks cool. If you have long hair or a goatee, be careful. All right. So we're going to plate this. We should plate it over here. I like unsalted because I will add salt in as it goes. You know, you want to kind of be careful again to oversalt food. And as you go, you salt each thing, but then, you know, by the time you put your dish together, the rice has salt, this has salt, the fish has salt, and you're going right back to clogging your arteries with salt. I think salt is very much overrated. It does make food taste nice, but so does citrus. You know, a little bit of lemon juice, lime juice. So just as the sauce starts to reduce a bit, can you see it? Okay. That's when you add your butter in. And what I'm going to do is plate the rice in a big spoon. Look at this plate. Is that gorgeous? I think it's a flying fish. I'm not sure. Now you can add herbs to this for color and effect. I think we're just trying to go simple here. Where is the spatula? There we go. This is almost as nice as my kitchen at home. Now, when you poach fish, you have to be kind of careful with it because it's very tender. But this is actually a cool way of cooking. And you don't have to sit and watch it. You know, you can put it in a bag of warm water and step away from it for a while. No. Don't. Nope. Raw. Straight in. And again, if you don't have coconut oil, you can use olive oil, you can use grapeseed oil. You know, it's your own favorite. I'm just saying this has flavor. This has Caribbean flavors. You can use coconut milk, even. Coconut milk will separate, but you'll still have the flavor there. And the truth, you can save this. So if you want to do a dish again, you can save it. There's nothing. Put it in the freezer, freeze it, and just thaw it out when you want it again. You don't have to throw it away. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no blood, so it's easy to do. And now we're just gonna melt some butter into it. And make an emulsion. So you have to kind of do that slowly. This is good that the fire is not blazing going, because the butter separates very quickly. Okay, salt. See? You can put it in, but you can't take it out. Better. It's missing rum. That's me. So as I was cooking the rice with the bacon, and you can do it two ways. If you like salted pork and the soft type, you can use ham if you want. And I had made some which is crispy, a little bit more crispy bacon, which you can use as garnishing. Like last night I had a dish with crackling in it, which is great texture, that crunchy little goody, sexy food. So there, can you see that? Make a nice emulsion out of the butter. And then just plate that. And then you can garnish it with your favorite herbs, edible flowers. If you're adventurous and have a mandolin and you like your fingers, you can make little paper thin and there you go. Healthy, quick, natural. Sorry, go ahead. Drink. Wow. Right behind you. Sorry. Does anybody have any questions? Did I go too fast? A little. Sorry? It is not in the book. That was specially just for here. But we have a new book coming out. So I can link you to my website or my Twitter page, @RumChef. And my graphic design team, we're reworking the menus, the recipe section of the website, which is paulfyellen.com. And we're going to be back on track, 2013. And if you have food and wine in your areas, come check it out. We're doing Charleston, South Beach, Aspen. It's a great town if you can get to it. No, I mean, most of these are microwave safe. I mean, you look on the box, it's microwave safe, freezer safe. So yes, to some extent, you're right, but heating it is not a problem. These are made to be heated, to cook in. But if you have those, have you ever seen those home vacuum kits that you can buy? The Food Saver, it's called. There are obviously industrial ones, but those are great for food as well, especially if you pack food in the freezer, or if you make a meal, like say you made a lot of this, and you want to save it for a couple of days, you pack off, portion some, vacuum seal it, and put it in the fridge, and it's great. Stick it in the microwave, stick it in this, heat it up. So yeah, again, it's just a little trick. It's time saving. You don't have to fry.
Could you describe the dish again, please?
This dish.
Yeah.
Okay, this would be a coconut oil poached red snapper, or whatever fish you like, on red rice, and it's with a rum citrus butter. And then every good Barbadian would douse big chunk of pepper sauce right there in the corner. This is rum shop style, and this is from Bajan Hot. I guess if you went to, there's a supermarket in the South Coast called Big B or Super Center, they have them. But if you send me a text, or I'll be able to tell you where to get it from. Here. Oh, sorry. At least I didn't hit you in your face. Sorry, I'm inappropriate. All right, so I think we have some forks. I'm sorry, I hope I'd be able to feed a few more people, but I'll certainly let you try as much as I can. I'm actually quite happy. I didn't realize this many people were going to turn out, and thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Any questions? You sure?
I want to know if you always cook with your shoes off.
With my shoes off? Not in a real kitchen, no. No. And not in slippers either. Yes, ma'am.
What's the meals that you usually make for your wife and kids?
Wife and
What do they
kids.
like?
Well, the 8-month-old eats pureed food, vegetables, and my son loves chicken. He loves fish too, salmon. We don't try to feed them too much junk. I mean, every kid loves a hamburger and some chips, but usually fresh fish or chicken, like predominantly. Very little red meat at the house. I happen to like, a steak every now and then, but we cook fish and chicken usually, pretty much every day. Vegetables, not too many starches. Yeah, not too many starches.
Fish cake?
We don't do a lot of frying. Not at home. I mean, I do like crunchy stuff. Everybody does, but we don't do a lot of frying at home. No. What do you cook for yours?
I don't have
Okay.
I make this one and that one and then eat whatever. But wait, what about the romantic meal? Like when wifey comes home and try to impress, then what happens?
Okay. The reality is,
To make her feel right?
the reality is, it is you that is romantic, not the food. Yeah? So, so if you're in love with somebody, McDonald's can work. You know? So I suggest that if you would like to taste it, that you come get some while it's still warm. Don't be shy. Thank you again. Absolutely. Charleston? Are you going to St. Lucia?
Oh, I'm going to St. Lucia. Sorry. Going the other way now. I love Charleston, though. I mean, it's really one of my more favorite cities to visit. So, will you come back to St. Lucia?
Yes, we were supposed to
Go
go.
around, yeah. Gonna catch it.
No, just take these off. We were supposed to go back this weekend, but we have the kids. And where? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Really a
It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll come down. They're 30 Barbados. Yeah. They're for sale over there.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I don't have any money.
Very good.
Hey, stay with me. When we come back, we'll be with my friends Sarah Graham of Southern Season Cooking School and Jimmy Hatt from Guerrilla Cuisine, two of Charleston's brightest and best culinary ambassadors. So the quintessential Charleston dish is, what would you say?
Shrimp and grits.
Shrimp and grits.
Absolutely.
Does anybody know how it started?
It's been here for as long as I can remember.
You don't know the history behind it? Do you know?
The history, as far as I'm aware, is a Native American dish from the start. The corn that they
corn.
used, the hominy that they soaked, sole the corn. Obviously, shrimp came from this region. The Kiowa Indians, had the lakes and the rivers that they would fish and seine net, catch those lovely creatures.
Sarah, what about you? Do you know anything interesting about shrimp and grits?
Oh, shrimp and grits has the combination of all tastes. It's got the wonderful creamy grits, it's got that burst of flavor when you get into your shrimp, and everyone has a different way of the gravy that goes on the shrimp.
I'm just gonna get the pan a little hot. Don't wanna get it too hot. And we start with, a basic range of flavors where you build your flavors. A little pyramid, some garlic and onions. I love that smell. Right there. That's the smell.
And what kind of peppers are those going in?
Just little sweet peppers, mini sweet peppers.
Ah, okay. No heat in those peppers?
No, none. I'm gonna add heat in with either red pepper flakes. I'm gonna use this instead of trying to flip it. That is magic smell right there.
It does. It smells really good.
And before, maybe a little bit of corn, a little bit more corn. And a bay leaf. I know I won't really I like to work with fresh bay leaf, but I don't always get it. If you ever use the pepper flakes, red pepper, just a little bit. I mean, I like my heat on the back end, so I use a pepper sauce. And here's the
That smells really good.
curry and salt mixture.
I can smell that corn in there.
You can pick out the corn.
Yeah, I really can. That's why, it's funny how those little things make
A little
such
bit
a
of butter
difference.
and some sausage.
All right.
So here's where the Caribbean influence comes in. Just a little bit. I'm going to use a little overproof rum and just give us a nice, so instead of deglazing the pan with white wine, I'm just going to use some rum.
Okay.
Ooh, nice. Beautiful.
There we go. I happen to like a little more than normal.
I know, that's good. You're teasing us now, come on.
Rum-kissed shrimp and grits. Rum-drunken shrimp and grits.
Now, I was first introduced to Chef Paul Yellen through his cookbook Infusion. I was amazed by the amount of recipes you could use with rum. You've since developed this moniker, this rock star moniker as the rum chef. But that's not all that you deal with, right? But
No.
tell me about rum. That's something that we all have in common in the Caribbean as well.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, rum is just a fascinating story in itself, and I have to say the reason that I am the rum chef is because I realized and identified the link between food and rum. The story of food is the story of rum. They brought the sugar here to make money. They brought the Africans here to work it, and the food came with them. So it's culture. It's all part of culture. The reason why the Caribbean is just such an interesting topic is because of the mixes of people. You have the Africans, you have Portuguese, you have Spanish, you have English, Scottish, Indians, East Indians, Chinese, and it's just such a melting pot of culture and people and cuisine. And so
And history.
and history, of
Yeah.
course, all of that comes with it.
Yeah. You come
And
from the land of rum too. I mean, Barbados is synonymous with the oldest rum in the world. I'll give you guys that.
Yes.
Mount Gay Rum. And they have really supported your career as a culinary artist over the years. How do you see yourself really representing a new Caribbean culinary movement?
Well, I mean, it just half of it is luck, half of it is being, right place at the right time, and
With the right rum.
With the right rum, people always ask me what my favorite rum is, and I can't answer that because rum is not like vodka. Rum is not like any other spirit. Everybody has a distinct style. There's different distillation, methods, but then you have the aging process and temperatures and the barrels, the actual sugar cane itself. So you get such a variety of colors and flavors and
then
tastes.
the countries that come
And
with
the
them.
countries, and everybody is fiercely loyal
Absolutely.
to their rum.
You know, we're always seeing chefs in competition nowadays. You guys put on a performance.
Right.
It was so wonderful to watch. How was that
there
for
was
you?
there was no ego that night.
Yeah.
There was no
Only
ego.
fire. More fire for
there
you
was,
too.
There was chefs having fun, helping each other, and what myself and some of the other chefs are trying to really incorporate is to do a new movement of culinary entertainment. Right? We want to be able to do these live events in front of people to show how we work. You know, everybody thinks a kitchen, you know, it's behind the doors and you never see what's going on.
Miserable, it's hot, it's
It's
sweaty,
hot
it's
and-
crazy.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we like to refer to it as controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Right? But the point is as you refine it, you know, we can put on a show and have people be part of it.
There was music, there was food, there was culture, there was that feeling of Caribbeanness, and then we had...
And there was rum.
And there was rum, a lot of rum. But what I also loved seeing was the international chefs also getting into the mix. You had Chef Eddie G, you had Chef Christian, and there was that balance of, you know, old world, new world, and that cosmopolitan feel. What do you think chefs working together from different parts of the world does for the art of cuisine?
Well, especially for Haiti, for the Caribbean, it's very helpful for chefs to see what other people are doing. It's great for the international chefs to come and see what we're doing in the Caribbean because, again, it's all mindset, you know. I've even had chefs make contacts so you can do an internship. If you're up and coming and you show enough initiative, then someone in New York can say, hey, come work in my kitchen for 2 months. And chefs, all chefs make their bones this way. You go work for free. You know, it's a learning experience, but you get to work in New York, you get to work in London, you get to work in Paris, and that's a once in a lifetime, maybe twice in a lifetime opportunity.
And chefs are like cats. You guys got 9 lives.
Some
You
of
see,
us.
he's sitting here looking all pretty and pristine. I know you as a Rasta man too. Congo bongo flying, but at the same time, you bring that roots and that culture to your corporate side, and then you bring your corporate side to your grassroots side. Any advice for up and coming chefs, especially from our region?
You have to follow your heart. You have to follow your passion. I think if you go with what you know, you can always adjust it to learn different standards. No 2 days in the kitchen is ever the same. There's always an adventure. It is more about thinking on your feet and rolling with it than a structure of it must be this way, it must be this way. It's a lifestyle. It is not a job, it is a lifestyle. And if you are not ready for it, what is the saying? If you can't stand the heat,
come out the kitchen.
get out the kitchen. As far as you know, how did you get into making rum? I mean, was it the history that from before? What do you know about the South Carolina connection and rum?
I was interested in rum having grown up in New Orleans and having my first drink on Bourbon Street being a hurricane. and then I marketed rums for larger companies, and I've always loved rum. And there is a history here of rum with the rum runners during Prohibition and British Navy, and it was actually used as cash for trade all over the colonial coast.
Since I am the rum chef, it would be rude of me not to include some food to the mix. Now, each of these has a distinct flavor, distinct taste, distinct personality, and when I taste them, immediately I can see the food or the dishes that it would go with. This gold rum, right, even though it's a little bit young, 4 years, I can't wait for the 7-year-old, but this gold rum would be lovely in, say, a peppercorn sauce. So we do a rum peppercorn sauce over a nice steak. The spice, I would have to play with it a little bit more, but I'm sure the cocktails would just be amazing with it. The vanilla notes are clearly there. The cinnamon is present. So just a little ingenuity, and again, you have to test and play around with it, but the cocktails with this would be fantastic. And I have to say that immediately just from smelling it, and before I even tasted the Java, immediately tiramisu jumped to mind. So a rum tiramisu would just be perfect with this coffee flavored liqueur. And Scott was telling me a few minutes ago that one of their hottest ideas is a pineapple coffee pina colada. Now imagine what that would taste like for breakfast. How I like to cook, first of all, I know you know my name is Paul Yellen. I'm the rum chef. I cook with rum, yes. I drink rum, yes. And in fact, when you're cooking with rum, you have to drink some. It's important. It gets you in the mood. But part of what I'm doing in the last few years is really trying to be an ambassador for Caribbean, for culinary. Unfortunately, when most people in Europe and America think about the Caribbean, they say jerk chicken, right? Everybody says, oh, jerk chicken, rice and peas. And they just have no idea the culture and the different styles of food and the taste that people have available. And that's because nobody's properly representing all the countries. And no, I'm not Haitian, but I'm quickly falling in love with it. So last night, one of the things we did was a variation on griot, which I know some people say you should never do, but it's interesting. The two styles, well, there's a lot of styles, but the two things of cooking, there's baking and then there's cooking. Baking is a science. Baking, you follow the recipe exact. And there's a reason. If too much water, it's slush. Too little water, it's concrete. But with cooking, this is just a guideline. The recipe you see is a guideline. If you don't like something, you take it out. Or if you like it, put double in. And it's really, it's to your taste. It's very important that people realize that it's to your taste. I like very well seasoned food, and I'm sure people do. One common mistake that people do is they over salt it. They over season it. So you have to be very careful when you're seasoning. I think the less ingredients in a dish, the better. Simple dishes, is clean. It's like, when people wear very colorful clothes, it's too much sometimes. Right? Simple is better. And your taste buds are the same. You only have 5 tastes, and you try to put too much into it. It's confusing. You don't know. So what we're going to start with, usually, is we start the hardest thing or what takes longest first. So you see we're going to do a seared ahi, a seared tuna, with a tomato raisin chutney. I've already kind of pre-soaked the raisins in some rum. The tuna, if you can get it, I'm going to try and coat it, make a nice coat for it. So you start, again, simple flavors. I don't add salt to this because the things that it's going with will have salt in it. And I salt it. If you salt fish too much, it starts to cook and dry out. So I always salt it towards the end. And I'm just going to do a little dry rub, some brown sugar. And the brown sugar helps to caramelize it and give it a nice color. A little paprika. Curry powder. It's one of my favorites. Oh, and my peppers. I like to crack my own black pepper because when you buy it already cracked, sometimes it's too fine and it's bitter. So I usually roast some black pepper in a pan. Black peppercorns. You can do red peppercorns, but when you think because they're dry that they have no liquid in it, but they actually do. And if you roast them just till they start smoking, and when I say roast, you don't have to put them in the oven. You can put them on the top, and it releases the oils and the flavors in it. Watch the whole table fall down. That smells great. So of course I'm going to do it on both sides because you can't fly on one wing. So brown sugar, paprika. It's also good if you're doing a piece of fish like this size to bring it out of the fridge a little bit before you use it, so it comes to room temperature. But the great thing about this is that you can put it in the fridge. After you cook it, you put it in the fridge and you can serve it cold, you can make it with salad, however you'd like to do it. Let us start. Now for me, this is the sexiest smell. Onion and garlic, almost nothing better. And then you'll see the coconut oil start to release the flavors almost immediately. Come here, you. Now we cook this until the onions become clear. They go from white to translucent. They're a little bit clear. So sweet pepper, scallions, salt, tomato. Now you can use canned tomatoes. I don't know why you would when we have fresh. But if you're looking to save time, you can use canned tomatoes and you can just chop them very rough because the liquid that they release is really what you want. And as this starts to cook down, what I'll do is add some tomato paste just near the end. It gives it a very rich, vibrant color. So I'm gonna add some mango to this one. You can use pineapple, apples, whatever fruit you like, papaya. And the good thing about this is when you cook this when we add the sugar and everything, it preserves it. You're making jam. You are making basically a jam. Ginger. Gingembre. You like pepper? Heat? No? All right, so if you don't want too much, you can put the whole thing in and just make a little cut. But you know the hottest part of the pepper is the seed. Yeah, that's where it gets scary. Has anybody seen these? Well, it's a grater. This is called a rasper, and it's much finer. All you need to do is give this a wash. Right? The nutrients and the flavors are in the skin. Yeah. Most people peel it and they're wasting it. Again, I'm doing it this way because the flavors will release quicker. But if you're making a pot of this that you want to put aside, all you have to do is smash it. Just take it and give it a pound like that and put it in. Because it makes it easier at the end. You can just take the whole thing out when it releases its flavors. But this, potatoes as well. Potatoes and carrots, people peel them. Root vegetables, 80% of the nutrients are actually in the skin because that's how it absorbs the flavor, the nutrients from the soil. Hey, come back here. I can smell it already. All right, so that was the sour. Now we have to add the sweet. I'm going to use sugar. But I was giving you the option because these I think is gluten-free and sodium, low sodium, and for people who like to be health conscious, it's not necessary. Can you smell that? Can you smell it? Yeah. Orange, what's grapefruit? Orange, grapefruit, like that. You can use again the skin or the peel, and in fact I won't do it that way. All of the oils are in the skin. So instead of adding juice, fresh juice, which of course is great, you're just adding more liquid. And the whole point to this is that we want to evaporate the liquid out because you're making a concentrate. So all of these flavors will concentrate down into a jam. Basically, now the rum soaked raisins. Let me add some rum. Trick to searing is a nice pan. The cast iron pans, have you ever seen the cast iron pans? The black metal ones, the heavy ones? Those are perfect. But a nice non-stick pan, and you have to get it really hot. You want the pan to be smoking. And then here, like once the liquid starts to be released, just a little bit of tomato paste. And very important part about being in the kitchen is just keep tasting. Now this is the point where you know where the salt needs to come in. People forget, you add the salt in and then you do something, then you put salt in again, and once it's in, you can't take it out. Like pepper. Perfect. Oh, I can taste the orange. It's great. A microplane. So the herb puree that I made, that's in the menu, I could chop it up for you, but again, it's whatever herb you like. I'm doing cilantro. What's the French or the Creole for cilantro? Cilantro. Cilantro, okay. I just like it because garlic, pepper, thyme, cilantro, anything green. You're making a herb pesto. So if you want to do basil, you can do that as well. Put it in the blender, a little bit of oil, and once it starts, you can add the oil slowly until it becomes an emulsion where it'll move. I'll show you how it looks afterwards. Oh yeah. What you're looking for when you make this is you shouldn't cover it, first of all, because you want the liquid to evaporate. You want it to come down. So the tomatoes will give up their liquids, all of the fruit will give up their liquids until it becomes a little bit thick. You don't need much oil, just a little bit. But you also don't want to leave this because this will catch fire in a second. So what you're looking for with the tuna is as it starts to cook, let me come in the middle. You realize that the line changes the color?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You see that? And of course, what you don't want to do is burn it like that. And that's it. Literally in a second, that'll be finished.
You already turned it?
Yes. And now we take it off. And let it rest. 2 reasons. It's still cooking. It'll still be cooking. So if you leave it in the pan, it'll definitely overcook. Absolutely, definitely overcook. Now, I wasn't sure if this was gonna cook in time, so what I did is one of those television tricks. Remade it a little bit ahead of time. This is the same thing. I wasn't sure if it was gonna be ready in time. But what I was gonna do is give everyone some to take home. And what I love is just the colors that pop out. Let's look and see how this, perfect. Okay, goodbye. All right, now to get 13 pieces out of this. So the pesto that I made, just an easy mix, an easy blend with garlic, cilantro, and then a little decor. These are just the scallions. If you put them in, you cut them very thin and put them in ice water, and they curl up. So they're ice water. Ice water. Just chives, scallions. And yeah, the ice. If you put them in a little ice water, 20 minutes, they curl up. But then they add this crunch to it. It's great. Oh. Madame?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vous n'avez pas suivi les règlements.
Me. Bon appetit.
Very good.
Comment ça va? Haiti.
Haiti.
Haiti for the Wine Festival, yeah! Tell us who you are. Tell them who you are. I know I gave them a hint last year, but tell them who you are.
I'm a rum chef.
He is the rum chef. The rum chef is here tonight. Chef Paul, the rum chef is here. Please, a round of applause for the rum chef. Now, my brother, my friend, what did you prepare this evening? What I'm seeing is just exquisite.
Everything here is from this island. In fact, everything here is from within 20 miles of this hotel.
Avant même de nous dire ce qu'il nous a préparé, écoutez ça. Tout ce qu'il y a dans cette assiette est d'ici, et d'Haïti. Il n'y a rien que vous allez recevoir dans la prochaine assiette qui n'est pas d'ici. En fait, il me dit que tout ce que vous allez goûter, tout ce qui est dans cette assiette, est dans un rayon de 20 000 kilomètres, vous pouvez le trouver. Donc, ce que vous allez goûter là, vous pouvez le faire chez vous. C'est déjà ça. Okay, now that we know that, what is it?
It's a local lobster tail. It's a Mai Tai. Mai Tai is a drink, and I've made flavors of the drink into the food. So it's coconut, it's rum, it's pineapple. Everything is in this dish.
Écoutez, est-ce qu'il y a des gens ici qui connaissent le Mai Tai? Il y a des gens qui connaissent le Mai Tai? Le Mai Tai. Donc, vous avez la noix de coco, les ananas, le rhum. C'est ce mélange avec lequel il nous a fait la langouste. C'est une langouste Mai Tai.
Okay, so we have an example here of a range of rums.
All these are considered fine sipping rums. And that's what's interesting. Here you have one that's fully distilled. Notice here on the left, this is a very fine sipping rum, but it's completely clear. Distilled multiple times to get the clarity that we're seeing here, but wonderful flavors and a sipping rum in a clear note. Don't see that very often. And then we have, going off from lighter to darker, rums, again, all sipping rums, all of wonderful quality, blended in different ways with a secret recipe that each of these distillers would have to make just their special rum. Often the secret recipe would include a caramel or a toffee flavor with it. But it also comes out of the amount of char that's in the barrel. When they get the barrels from the whiskey companies, sometimes they'll leave the char and the whiskey flavor in. Sometimes they actually clean them out, rechar the barrel, and depending on exactly what they're looking for in the end product.
Here's a Scottish company, a whiskey producer, who've actually bought the molasses from these countries and taken it back to Scotland, distilled it, barreled it, and aged it in Scotland. And they're doing fantastic work with original Caribbean stock. Over here I see what really re-kickstarted the premium brand level of rum in the mixology era. 10 Cane, which comes from Trinidad. The stock comes from Trinidad, but they are, I guess, subcontracted by LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, which is an ultra premium brand and a big alcohol house in the world. We all know the Moet Hennessy line and the Champagne line. And this is their rum, and everybody started seeing these bottles, and there's a whole range of cocktails that started back with this. This is just an amazing collection. Trinidad again with Angostura, 1824, which the top is dipped in wax and sealed. And they have the little booklets with all about it, the notes, the tasting notes of it. It's just amazing rums here. This one is a very special bottle. It's an Edwin Charney from Jamaica. Very small batch. These are Venetian blown glass. And if you look inside, there's a still inside the bottle. And I guess that's a replica of the still that they used to make the rum. The sheer variety of it all. Just the way it's grouped, the differences in aging, the different companies. one thing that I would have to say about this collection is, besides the vastness of it, is the organization. All right, the ages, the variety. All right, as a collector and a lover, this is porn for me.